name is Lady Reverend Dr. Abinate, the Executive Director of Aido Network, Ghana. God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make our nation great and strong. Welcome to our Business and Investment Summit 2020. Indeed, you would love to be a citizen of my proud country, Ghana. Come with me. I'd like to show you something. Aqua. Thank you.
Asamoah the first. I'm the Nkosohene of Dewu Ekrapim, located at the uphills of the eastern region of Ghana. I am also an active Aido member in Ghana, and I work with Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority as the Learning and Development Manager. Dewu is one of the 7 Okre-speaking languages of the Ekrapim region. We are mostly Christians, but we also encourage other religious bodies like Muslims, Buddhists, etc. Dewu celebrates Ojura Festival. We celebrate it at the 4th quarter or the last quarter of every year, that is around October, November, and we mostly encourage or maintain our traditional norms. The Ojura Festival is celebrated to promote peace, to promote love, encourage unity, and also development. The people of Dewu have a reputation of patriotism and being progressive in terms of development in the community. There are interesting places in Dewu, that is the tourist attractions that we have. Mostly are waterfalls. We have about 3 or 4. That is the Boti Falls, Cinema Waterfalls, Aka Waterfalls, because the town is the Okre towns are situated within rocks, and it is very interesting to see. The water comes out of the rocks, which makes it very natural, traditional, and interesting. I would here encourage all visitors, all tourists who visit Ghana to come to the eastern region of Ghana, locate Dewu on the Okre district, come and visit and see the interesting places that we have.
Amandola Notifafa Waname, Queen of the Ewe community in Ashaima Municipality, Greater Accra Region, Ghana, and a member of Aido, Ghana. Like all Ghanaian ethnic groups, I come from an area of a rich background. As we all know, the tent culture refers to the arts, custom, beliefs, values, behavior, habits, food, and lifestyle that characterize a given society of people of a nation. We therefore, by definition, have a dance, naming, dressing style, social and various numerous culture activities that defines my ethnic group. My role as a Queen Mother involves various traditional and developmental pageants. I am responsible for peace in my community, dispute resolution, women empowerment, as well as serving as advisor for the traditional council. Thank you.
Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami ilondoloze 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 zungangishilana ilondoloze 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 zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami
My name is Nakia Dramani Sam, Young Peace Ambassador from Ghana, and welcome to this year's edition of Aido Business Forum. It is sad that our future is looking bleak. It is sad that most of us, the children, are not being taught our culture, our heritage. If you do not know who you are, where you're from, and your culture and your heritage, where do you think you're going? Amazing when the Creator created the world. He designed them differently with different names. Everything has its own purpose and aims. Different kinds of human beings to form the world. Please let me ask you one thing. Who is wiser than God? When He gave us different identities with special places to stay on earth. My culture, your culture, our culture. The unique way to show who I am. I am African. My respect to the elderly person, the chiefs, and my parents. The way I dress, talk, eat, sing, and dance is my culture. Taking a side journey to the North Africa. Moving down to the south is amazing. Turning the compass to the East Africa and the West keeps the rich African culture blazing. But it's like the sun is fading away. Even though it's not night, seems scared. Why? And what makes us fight? Look, let me tell you something. I wasn't born in Africa, but Africa was born in me. Thank you, and have a refreshing time at this business summit.
Hello everybody, my name is Victoria Aganda. I'm 8 years old and I will be reciting a poem about climate change. We are killing the earth and that's really fun, but no one believes us because we are young. Our forests are turning to ash in a second. Ask California. They'll tell you about it. They'll tell you how they have lost all their homes, while Trump turns a blind eye and tweets on his phone. Global warming's an expensive little hoax. For the last time, this is not a joke. Our factories are working and toxins emitting. The ozone is crumbling and we can't stop putting chemicals in which we're trying to breathe. Our future is stolen and we are the thieves. Sea levels rising and icebergs are melting. The coral reef's dying and no one's helping. Do you realize they keep the oceans alive? This started back in 1985. Don't come to me when your child can't think. Oh, what's a tiger? It's 'cause they're extinct. Don't come to me when your fur coat ain't clean. The endangered list is 41,416. Dear 2045, I don't think we're gonna survive. If you end up hearing this story, I just want to say I'm sorry.
Check here, International Development Organization, Aido Network.
Aido, Aido.
We are Aidoers.
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 The voice of the voiceless to promote unity and social change. A platform for dialogue
Ota nepepe etopolo sinono showok Esomataka Aido Ateker International Development Organization Aido.
Aido, Aido.
We are Aidoers.
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 Rise up, everyone, from everywhere. Come, let's support Aido. Uganda,
Yoganoi,
Kenya,
Jambo Sana,
Ghana,
Aquaba,
Jamaica, United Kingdom, and South Africa. Aido, Aido. Aido, Aido.
Round of applause, even if I have to do it myself. So we are also growing chapters. We are still counting. This year, next year, I know that we will be talking something so different. So today we will be given even a glimpse into what these chapters have been doing, what these chapters have been up to, what these chapters also are going to be showing us even for the future. And as I have already said, the value and the love that we put and the emphasis that we put into our cultural institutions. And we are going to be celebrating culture, meeting business. We also would like to say, as Aido management, thank you very much to our sponsors that have made these 2 days to be so possible. Yes, I also include you, our guest who is here today, and including the Aidoers. That's how we call ourselves. Here I'm talking also about the sponsors, the Starr Radio, Reps and Sons. We are speaking Jeunesse, we are speaking also Ndlovu Jewelers, and many more that are already on our platforms, that are already the power behind what we do. So we are all going to be moving forward in this program. I will be giving you more about who Aido is, and then if we can just sit back. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, majesties and highnesses, please welcome or help me to welcome on stage our president, the chairman, and the founder of the Aido Network, His Excellency Sir Iganda. Please, sir, take up the stage. Thank you very much.
Hello. Thank you very much, Princess Seppi, for such a wonderful opening and introduction of Aido. I'm also very delighted to see all of you again today after such a successful day yesterday. I would like to first of all welcome our guests, His Royal Majesty King Taki Teiko of Ega State, Ghana, King Gozebo III of South Africa, Papa Sande Emolot, the CEO of SCCA Scandinavia, Ms. Cynthia Louise Starr, and all the delegation from the Scandinavian, you are welcome. Queen Diambi of the Congo, Her Highness Grace Eganda, my wife, all the royals and the princesses from all over Africa who are here with us today, the business community, the Queen Mothers from Ghana, South Africa, and from the Congo, the Board of Trustees of Aido, the Chairperson, Mrs. Ulrika Polman, Dr. Ramzi Sheikh, and the entire board, as a tool for unity and development for our people. So we believe social change is necessary for us to grow. So in brief, unity, development, and social change. That's what Aido is in brief. Let's move on. Our objectives are clear. We are promoting culture. We create environment to do business and investment through our local communities, our kingdoms, our chiefdoms, our royals, the local people, and the community. We also defend human rights. We are the voice of the voiceless. That's why we call ourselves the Aidoers. We do what we say, we follow it through. We also make partnerships. We know we cannot do it alone. So we do it all possible to make friends who are beneficial to our ideas. So in short, that is what Aido is, as you can see outlined there. Our structure. Recently, we had to restructure Aido. Aido is run by 45 people, 45 experts from different countries. We've got the board of directors, which is chaired by the president, and has got a team of 18 people. These are the people who are responsible for the governance of Aido Network International, which has got a following of about 2 million people in the world. We've got the advisory and arbitration board, which has got a very, very strong group led by a lady and a team of 8 lawyers, faith leaders from all different religions. They are our advisors, they are our direction. We know we cannot do alone without them. We thank them. Then we've got our committees and directories. These are the groups that help Aido implement what we are doing now. We are here today because this has been organized by this group, which is the IBC. So this is the organogram of Aido. This is how we are formed. This is how we are run. The board is here at the top. We've got the advisory board. Rest of the programs, these are people who overlook all our programs in the world. Then we've got the youth wing. This is most maybe one of the vibrant arm of Aido, which is headed by the youth. The youth do most of our PR and a lot of work for Aido. We thank them. Then marketing and communication. This is also a very powerful group. Our ICT, our promotions, all the little videos that you've seen is run by this department. Then of course, Aido is not Aido without the chapters. The chapters are the countries. Aido is now in 8 countries, with Nigeria recently joining, becoming 9. We've got Cameroon, we've got Kenya, Germany, Ghana, South Africa, Togo, Uganda, UK of course, and recently Nigeria has joined us. Next slide please. So again here, networking and strategic partnership has been the success of Aido. We network with other organizations. It's very important and also crucial for us to accomplish our goals. We've got a number of organizations that have made us be what we are. We've got a lot of training from the Celebrity Center, from the Church of Scientology, from T-Crips, from Genes Global, Aido Genes, Rap and Sons, Bounce, you know, quite a list is very long, but we are not alone. We've got very, very strong partners who have made us where we are. Okay, Aido in every way is powered by relationship within our network. We depend on a power of volunteering to make a change that we would like to be. All these people are volunteers. They are not paid to do what they are doing. So obviously our partnerships are both local, national, international. So our structures are covered and we get the power from those countries, including America, which I did not mention. Yes, I know America is very vibrant. So next please. Meet the team. This is the team, as you can see, the president, myself speaking, and as you can see, this is the governance of Aido. These are the people who govern Aido at the highest level. You see them, you recognize them, they have all the skills, no color, no tribe, no language, no faith. We believe all humanity is equal, we are the same. We do not segregate by color, by religion, by faith. So we are culture without borders. And we have no faith, we belong to all faiths. We have our advisory board. These are the wise people that without them would have no direction. This board is headed by the lady, as you can see, Ulrike Pollmann. She's based in Germany. We've got Ambassador Namboka, the UN diplomat, human rights expert. We've got Sheikh Ramzi, who is the deputy chairman. This is Oxford University director. We've got Dr. Marco, a very successful businessman. We've got 2 lawyers here. We've got Sei Clement. These are the people who are behind restructuring Aido. We've got Counsel Richard, one of the lawyers also. We've got Ambassador Agnes and Mr. Martin Waitman. So these are all people who have got a very, very good record to see Aido is going to the right direction. It's them who make sure we do the right thing. Now, why are we here today? We are here today because of the work of this committee. This is Aido Business and Investment Committee. This committee is headed by a lady called Linda Saverera. She's the chairperson, and the deputy is Dr. Samson Nate. This is based in Ghana. This committee comprises of people from all the countries that Aido has got a strong presence in Ghana, in Uganda, in the UK. So all these are experts who have been in business for a long time with a proven record at the right institutions. Thank you, IBC. IBC is why we're here today. Then, of course, these are the people who make sure that these programs actually happen. We've got Her Highness, Grace Eganda, who happens to be my wife, who is the director of the programs. We've got the head of human rights, Mr. Tindai, and Sally is the one who makes sure the events are actually properly structured and working. So, move on, please. We've got Mrs. Margaret Achegel, who is in charge of culture and chieftaincy. The queens, the kings all go under her. It's the team that works with the Ambassador Filda Lolem, who is also director, and the people from Ateker, where Aido got his names, are represented by Mr. Colin Etian. So this is the team that actually makes Aido Aido. Okay, these are the implementers, these are the committees. Pauline is head of fundraising. Teddy is the head of the membership. She's the one who makes sure the databases of Aido worldwide are properly monitored, safety. Nobody uses anyone's information. Move on. These are our experts. Head of marketing is Lady Fondindi, based in Africa. This is a very, very strong lady, one of the people who has introduced Genes, Aido Genes, which has been very, very a way we have introduced to empower our members with another source of income. Genes has been very, very instrumental in what we are doing. We've got Yandisa, who is an expert in IT. She's the one leading the training and transforming Aido to the fourth industrial revolution. IT work, training, that is her department. We've got Mr. Makova, who is the youth, and is make sure that our social media is properly working. And we've got LC also assisting in that area, because we believe that where we are going is going to be digital. Digital is the next oxygen. So we either embrace it now or we are left behind. Please move on. Our youth. As I told you, we've got a very powerful youth represented from all over the countries that Aido is very strong. We've got the director of youth, who is Miss Simbisile Mahua. She's the director of the youth. So this is the team, as you can see in the photo. I will not go through each of them, but I just want you to know that the youth who are the future of tomorrow are part and the parcel of Aido network in each country. Let's move on. Yes. Lastly, not least, why are we here? We are here because of the business and investment. In October, we set up a directorate which is called Aido International Business Committee, which is called the IBC. Their primary function is to develop and deliver Aido's business and investment strategy, including growing Aido's own investment portfolio. It is this unit of Aido, this is the business arm of Aido, that is working with SCCA Scandinavia to ensure that Aido is getting financing income that will sustain the charitable arm of Aido. So all this, you can find them at our website. Aido has got membership. You'll be getting membership. You've got individual membership, organization membership, and the kingdom's membership. When we start financing and funding working projects, our priorities normally go to our members and the kingdoms that are registered with us. That's where we always do make sure that they benefit from whatever things that come to Aido. So if you're not a member of Aido, please join Aido network and become an Aidoer. Aidoers, we call ourselves the people who walk the talk and we work towards change. So we definitely try to walk the talk. We want to change our communities. We want to grow with you. Please visit our website and you'll find all this information. So these are the links. You can Google us, you can visit them, and whatever I have said will be there in details. As protocol goes, I would like to bring my wife in to bless this day so that today's deliberation are definitely put in the hands of our Creator. So,
thank you, Mr. Chairman, President Aido. May God continue to increase you and the whole of Aido to the next level. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before your throne of glory with thanksgiving. Father, we thank you for this time. We welcome your presence into this place, O God. Father, guide us through this day's program, and may we align ourselves according to what your purpose and will is for us, your people. All that we do, Heavenly Father, may it be unto the glory of your name. Amen.
Thank you very much. Back to the MC. May I take this opportunity to announce that His Royal Majesty King Taki is got technical challenges, but he has sent us an audio with this message, which I would like to recognize, which I would like to request Starr Radio to pass his message and his photo. He's with us, watching us live from Ghana. Please, message from His Royal Majesty King Taiko. Seppi?
Thank you very much to our president. While we are waiting for the video to come on, we just would like to thank our president, our founder, for such a wonderful message. And indeed, we can see that you are the captain of the biggest, the greatest ship on earth. Thank you very much that you also confirmed what we had already said earlier. So at least I know that I am at the right place. And the Aidoers, they know they're at the right place. Starr Radio, when you are ready, it's just for you to play the video.
Ask lots of questions.
Right. In the meantime, as we have heard, ladies and gentlemen, that Aido has got social media platforms. If you'd like to see who we are, we also have the website, which is www.aidonetwork.org. You can even go log in right now to verify who we are and see who we really are, and are we really what we have just told you that we are. You can put comments as well and make sure that you also become a member. We are still saying the doors are open. We would like to grow. We would like your expertise as well. You know, this globe is too big and it needs all of us. For development to happen, it's for all of us to unite and move forward. Starr Radio, are you ready?
Questions about trade inequalities and transactional disparities.
Are we ready?
And the rest of the world without much benefit to the parties that wield most of the natural resources.
Volume,
I
please.
have developed
And here.
to ponder on the stakes in trade relations, inuring to the benefit of generations to come. Mr. Chairman, my fellow royals herein gathered, ladies and gentlemen, I am as passionate and committed as most of us here, and I dare mention that our predecessors were equally passionate about the plight of our people. What the issue has been till now is the workings towards changing this narrative. We are very much informed on the subject of international trade and investment, especially where Africa is involved. This has never been on equal terms Though seemingly so on the surface of it, and until this disparity is corrected, our efforts will remain as hopes and aspirations. Fellow royals, we are charged to look closely and deeper within, difficult as it may seem, to comprehensively develop what we have into what we need and share the value thereof with the rest of the world. The Ghana state has many capital projects and seeks to indulge investor interest to partner us in implementation of these projects by PPP or BOT arrangement. Surely, we can't wait to see the investor community engage us in that regard. I have delegated my competent officials of the office of the government to work with you on the strategic business plan and opportunities thereof, short-term, mid-term, and long-term prospects. Ladies and gentlemen, let me digress a bit to talk about our culture, our people, and our heritage. Ga, the history of our migration has enriched our values and fortified our resolution on many fronts to date. Our cultural system acknowledges the power of our diversity and values on human dignity. Our experience is evident by hospitality. We are the capital city of Ghana, Accra. Thank you, and I wish you well. Tra, Nyumanye, Aba.
Thank you so much from His Royal Majesty King Taki Taiko Suru II from Ga Manse. Thank you for such a wonderful message. And indeed, we will be seeing more of him, as he has already said that he has committed his competent team to Aido. That's what I was talking about or referring to earlier on when I said the Aido is growing. It's growing in all spheres and in where we are unique at, the cultural institutions or royals, as others refer to them. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to now really fly out of Africa and land in United Kingdom, where we are going to find Mrs. Cynthia Lewis Starr from African Chamber of Commerce in Scandinavia. Madam, the mic is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, Majesty, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. I'm pleased to welcome you to the second day of Aido Business and Investment Forum. Africa is ready to partner for prosperity, with the focus today on culture and development. Today, indeed, Africa is ready to partner for prosperity, and this forum offers a platform to the business sector, such as the African Chamber of Commerce, to partner with the different kingdoms in Africa for the development of their communities. I would like to thank our co-host, Aido Network International, for their tireless work in organizing this great forum. The African Chamber of Commerce in Scandinavia highly values the cooperation with Aido. The collaboration between the African Chamber of Commerce is born from a desire to revitalize integrity and sincerity in African projects. Thus, we believe that while there are many challenges that were so eloquently described by our panelists yesterday, we have concepts like Ubuntu, which can be used as a catalyst for development. We have a rich cultural heritage and a built environment to catalyze social and economic development in Africa. The initiative is a collaborative endeavor between the African Chamber of Commerce in Scandinavia and Aido Network International. This platform and collaboration is designed to educate our brothers and sisters, people of African descent living abroad, to use as a vehicle to navigate some of the bottleneck, red tape, and hindrance to bankable projects that deserve to be funded. We can help fund those projects. So talk to us. We encourage you to use Aido and the African Chamber of Commerce as an extension of the African voice abroad. So we are here for you. There is an item in Africa that suggests that if you run alone, you can run fast. But if you run together, we can run far. Until these challenges are solved, we invite you, kings and queens of Africa, to run with us. We honor you, we value you, because you are the guardians of our African tradition and culture. Cultural heritage is a powerful development asset that can help attract tourism, bring revenue, generate local economy, promote inclusion, boost cultural diversity, and reinvent territorial identity. So welcome to Aido Business and Investment Forum. Africa is ready to partner for prosperity. I thank you all and would like and wish to work with you. Thank you very much.
Her Excellency, Madam Cynthia Louise Starr, thank you very, very much for those words. We know now that we have a home at ACCS. Thank you very much for that wonderful partnership. So because you are a lady, you know that we have now a marriage. Madam Cynthia, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
we hope the lobola is not that you spoke about Ubuntu. We hope the lobola is not that expensive. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As we go right along, ladies and gentlemen, we now come back into the continent of Africa, and we will be finding our Bishop Maponga, the leadership development facilitator, life coach, and radical speaker. If he is here, sir, please take the stage. Thank you. Hello? Right. I think then silence, it means maybe he has also technical problems. We are not sure. Moving right along, we're still in the continent. We are still in the Southern Africa, where we are going to be hearing a keynote speech promoting interaction between culture and development from His Royal Highness Kgosibo III of Bagolokwe Bamakola Bamashishing from Mpumalanga in South Africa. Your Highness, please take up the podium. Hula. Can I hear Nala from everybody?
Nala.
Thank you. We are raising the king, so therefore that is how we salute. Thank you, sir. Your Highness, please unmute yourself. The technical team, can we have the presentation lineup? You're welcome on stage, sir. Hello. Hello. Yes, you may.
Okay, thank you. Before I continue, I would like Program Director to at least allow me to say it. I I know you cautioned me to be a bit milder. By that, I always caution people before I speak that I normally call a spade a spade. But I have good news. I am compliant today. Madam Tepi, Princess Eromantatisi, by my own emphasis, whosoever arrived at the topic, surely or perhaps inadvertently, wanted to lead us astray as the Africans. But if otherwise this is the work of a cohort group, then I would like to think this as a conspiracy that in a sense want us to continue with mimetic philopraxis, a terminology that will have to meet somewhere. For me, first the topic and the fetish to promote an intention between culture and development concedes that culture and development are antithetical, that they are enemies in themselves. And by that, it would mean that such would need an analgesic intervention, that is promotion of intervention. Second, for me, the topic in simple terms, and in the milieu of Africa and development, is that the dominant culture of the Western paradigm becomes much more paramount than the culture of us here in Africa. Now, I want us to negate this misnomer and peddle. Ladies and gentlemen, we have much more problems than the mere advocacy of interactions. Through you, program director, or is it the host? Let us build from what I just raised, that we as Africans continue to exist in a non-equilibrium, chaotic, turbulent, and non-linear Africa in a globalizing environment. Our culture continues to be defined in terms of Western epistemology, like I said before, and as such remain at the behest of an alien philosophy that seeks to dispute the existence of others, their philosophies, and their solutions. For example, Eurocentric sociology continues to peddle the dogma that culture is a dynamic way of life. Dynamic in the sense meaning it's ever changing. I note this abhorrence with a pinch of salt and a slice of lemon, of course. Speaking of culture, program director, please take note that my cultural upbringing hasn't invaded me or devolved by Western and Eastern ways of life. On this message, please allow me, therefore, to extend my fraternal greetings to the custodians of our African land, upon which our culture is based. Through the president of Aido, Ghana, I follow protocol, therefore, by passing my greetings to the custodians of our land and culture thereof. I starkly herewith refer to the queens and kings of this continent, now in audience or elsewhere where they are. To you, Dante Ganda, I say in my language, which is Sokolokwe, Keroroma Tate, I send you, and move on to say, I hope I say this clearly. Yabila Bakulu Hawabeja, Nabalagira, Di, Mbaditunide, Era the Brejo, Abaduda, or Order. I will improve as time goes on. As they say it in Isoga, Mr. President, Gobera Awakulu, Obedanti, Nawala Gilanti, Nwala Bisa, Indo Kodi, Nawaram Gaida, While I will not belabor on the topic and its inadequacies, allow me, Project Director, to speak directly on what needs to be done. Ladies and gentlemen, please take note that it is sacrosanct to view culture as the foremost to development, and that for Africa, development must be African. The people must engineer and drive their development. On this, I say development must have an African face. It must be characterized by Ubuntu, wholeness, communalism. This will in a sense translate with business and anything else having an Afrocentric character. What I put forward in preparation for ending my speech, let me tell you where my chosen royal home is. I say home for the mere fact that there can be palaces where the rest is still in the doldrum. I envisage a situation where every home in my land is a palace. For now, I will remain in the masses. This is an argument for another day. Our peopledom, which you call kingdom, is called Mashishin, and is found in the high plateaus of the province of Mpumalanga, in the southernmost of Azania, which is South Africa. This estuarine policy has about 6 towns in it, and an innumerable number of townships, and apartheid terminology for hoods. It also has villages, all organized into districts. Within these social-cultural districts, there is an area called Shaka. This is where I am. In a nutshell, Shaka is a place endowed with rich mineral wealth. We're 10 kilometers away from where I am right now. We have mining complexes owned by Anglo, Exaro, Glencoe, and so forth. This is where you get your vanadium, platinum, gold, chromium, and so forth. It is said that beneath all these minerals we have oil. Perhaps people should start thinking about this. Like all areas in Mashishin, Shaka has the most fertile soil. Our soil holds most commercial farmers that produces food for people who are beyond Africa. We Africans here in the ground, we eat third-grade food and fruits and vegetables. All the best goes to London. Whatever you had today, some of it might be from our area. We host commercial farmers, I've indicated them. Shaka is the only place known to have a number of endangered species. We have the gold leopard. We have the black leopard. All these are just 5 kilometers from where I am. Now, listen to this with regards to this marvelous place called Shaka. According to the World Bank, South Africa is the most unequal country in the world, whose African children face multi-dimensional poverty. I hope you know what multi-dimensional poverty is. Poverty in everything. This is in comparison to others in the population. With regards to Shaka on the above, you will weep gallons of tears. It is as if in this area, it is as if God got tired of us and deserted us. Now, again, in this wherein we think that God has deserted us, and He also left us to be bound by thugs of Anglo-American, Yodrenko, and other land thieves. Shaka continued to be an occupied land by land thieves. Now, this is despite Shaka's immense contribution to South Africa's GDP. Its people remain at the doldrums and fringes of everything. Nothing material accrues to the people of Shaka. The land is being raped minute of every hour by big businesses, gangsters and cahoots with government thuggery. Ladies and gentlemen, Shaka in Mashishi is nothing but a microcosm of what is happening Africa-wide. Thuggery concepts and innuendos are running the show. Now, this is the area I chose to settle at after having lived my entire life outside Mashishi as a result of the land dispositions that befell my antecedents, or what you call ancestors in common parlance. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if we are to read the engineered maladies seen in Shaka and Western Africa, and in a view to have a foothold in the Globalizing World Program Director, let everyone take lessons from us, Maholoko and Mashishi, of course under Magola, and of course under me. 1. Let us note that indigenization is a pedestal and a target for development. Development cannot happen without recognizing the indigenous and their system. Here too with Makholobe, the indigenous hold a greater stake on anything from their land. No investor comes and holds more than 51% of proceeds here. The people owns all means of production. The people beneficiate 60% of all produced on the Shaka land, Red Mashishi land. No Shaka land is available for sale, but for lease with concessions. You lease our land, you leave it the way you found it. Tourism and non-polluting industries are the foremost drivers to our economy, without negating agriculture, of course. For every 1,000 square meters we allocate to you as for residential purposes, 100 square meters of that is reserved to subsistence. We produce what we eat. Each and every yard would have 100 square meter for its consumption. Our education is that bridges the gap between theory and practice, and as such countermands anything else. In Perenation Program Director, in upholding the principles and tenets of this conference, and thereby subscribing to its theme, guided of course by the mighty Aido, let us adopt the concept of counterculture, which is just a systemic way of life, not dynamic way. It's a systemic way of life that responds to material conditions on the ground. These are also a set of variables, attitudes, and non-linear issues within the prevailing environment. I now end my presentation, ladies and gentlemen, with a triad of codes from unrelenting Pan-Africanist and a nationalist. I am going to quote Kwame Ture, Tsoharina Mane, and Simon Mwasa Kapwepwe. Ture advises us that the job of the unconscious is to make the unconscious conscious. Aido is conscious. His job is to make us the unconscious conscious. This is why Aido exists. It doesn't exist in isolation. On today's advice, Namane notes that we are neglecting to address the impact of the racist colonial capitalist economy on the personality of the oppressed and dispossessed, of course, and that anything that neglects to address the latter is essentially apologist to the status quo. We cannot do this. Lastly, on all this, Kapepe avers that if we handle our independence very well as a continent, or chapters of the continent, as the president said, if we handle that very well, colonizers will not be back to our continent as investors, but as partners. Aido proceeds the idea that it is for partnership, and this is true. This is how we survive as a continent if we are to be in partnership with whomever wants to be part of us. Program Director, it is from these quotations that one will find solace, direction, and everything else to move forward. I thank you.
Dikgomo, pula, lenala.
Nah.
Re a leboha morena. Kgosi, kgosi. Lekgolo le hlaba kgoka le mao le ise moreneng. Re a leboha ntate. Thank you so much for such a wonderful speech, and thank you for honoring us with your presence. And we are really grateful to have you, and we as Aido. Is your cell phone on, Mr. Right. I was getting a feedback there. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let us go now to Bishop Maponga. We believe now he is in the room. Bishop Maponga, please take up the stage, sir. Thank you.
I'm glad for the opportunity given to me this afternoon to be addressing the community in line with agriculture and food sustainability programs around the African continent. In the words of the Honorable from Pumalanga, Mashishini, who has given us the very robust introduction and the remarks from the President, I am excited to note that we are now as Africans beginning to have a conversation which entails food, sustainability, governance, economics, fashion, culture, and education of the African child. As you, all of you on the platform, you have cell phones, and we all know by now that you cannot use an iPhone software to be running a Samsung hardware. By that I mean that the African problems need to start finding African solutions. I want to outline one or two issues before I do a conclusion of how we must unite and work together. On the top side, I want to outline very critically the importance of the African child being aware of where they are, where are they coming from, and where are they going. I want to start off the conversation, since you have a strong footprint in agriculture. My point of departure would be indigenous seeds. I say it again, indigenous seeds, indigenous crops, indigenous seeds, indigenous crops. While I was doing a research preparing for your presentation, I discovered that Switzerland actually has a vault somewhere in the mountains of Switzerland, where they are keeping indigenous seeds and crops. We know most of the crops that we are now eating and the foods that we are eating are actually genetically modified foods. By that I mean to say the genetically modified foods like millis, umbila, which is our maize meal, which makes pap, mchima, sadza in Shona. These kind of crops and these kind of plants, you cannot harvest them and plant them again. Why is it so? Because the SEDCO and Monsanto organizations that are supplying seeds have decided to make it possible through their genetical modification that you cannot be planting every season the harvest of your own plants. I want to challenge Aido that while we are doing food issues and food sustainability programs and projects, that we also look at the indigenous seeds, which are organic seeds in their own right. So that come a time when I plant my millis, I can harvest my millis. And from the millis that I harvest, that's what my grandfather used to do. Every harvest season, you would pick up the cobs of millis that are strong and with seeds that are nice and healthy, even groundnuts, even sorghum, even rapoko, even wheat and etc. And then he would take these seeds and say, these ones were not eating. He puts them aside. Because come the rain season next year, these are the seeds that you would put back in the ground and you would plant them and they germinate again. Are you aware that now you cannot harvest any crop, many of the crops on the high street market? You cannot harvest your apples and have seeds from those apples. You cannot harvest avocados and have seeds from those avocados. You cannot harvest your corn and have seeds from that corn, because they want to direct that the market must be driven towards an industrialized market where constantly you must be depending on the people who are giving you the seeds. I want to challenge Aido that be the first one on the African continent who can walk through Africa, identify indigenous seeds that we have, and from these indigenous seeds, please preserve them. Create a bank for indigenous seeds, because once people have seeds, they have enough to plant for the next season. And having said that, it is important that we understand that genetically modified foods are not sustainable for the African economy, because before every rain season, then the people on the ground must still put a budget aside to buy seeds to plant in the next season. And therefore, and we also understand that with these genetically modified foods, they are not healthy, because manipulation of human psychological, physiological behaviors, we understand war at its highest level, that food can also be used as a weapon of war. And why is it that Africa is being bombarded with genetically modified foods when the Western world, the European world is moving towards the organic foods? So our production lines from our greenhouses and etc. must begin to speak to indigenous greenhouses also. So our greenhouses must not just be for mass production, that we want to produce so many tonnage from so much a hectareage. And of that hectareage, we know that what we are producing is neither healthy, is neither sustainable, and is not productive in the long term and in the medium term. And I want to challenge you again and advise us on this platform that with one grain of, or one blade of grass, you can toothpick your teeth and remove the plaque that is in your teeth. But when you have a bundle of grass, you can sweep a house, you can thatch a house, not with one blade of grass. You thatch a house with multiple blades, multiple pieces of grass that are put together. You can sweep a house not with one blade of grass. You need a bundle of those blades of grass. You cut it in the center, you cut it at the back, then you tie it up, you make that traditional broom. What am I talking about? Unity is power. When we come together as Africans, we come together as farmers, we come together as agronomists, we come together as indigenous farmers to begin to look at African problems and look for African solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, when Europeans came here for colonization and we fought the battles of liberation, democracy was not our problem. Our problem was fighting for land, fighting for sustainability, and fighting for self-sustenance. These political leaders said to us, I was in Zimbabwe, I was a young little boy, aged 10, 11, and 12, and I heard the slogans over the radio. We are bringing Zimbabwe back. These military vehicles that you see, we are going to convert them into trucks that are carrying manure into our own fields. We did not go to war from Ghana to South Africa to fight for democracy. But when these political leaders came onto the platform, they said, we've brought democracy for you. But it was never an issue to us. Why am I saying that? Because the democratic system does not respect indigenous knowledge systems, does not respect indigenous seeds and agriculture, does not respect indigenous culture, does not respect indigenous medicines, does not respect indigenous religions and spirituality, does not respect indigenous spirituality in all its totality. And we look at food sustainability as a solution to the African problems. And while we are looking at that as a solution, my submission is that we needed to start finding African solutions to African problems. As long as we are using Apple software to deal with the Samsung hardware, we are not going to survive. Because our grandfathers, my grandfather who brought me up, Joshua was his name, he never went to the shops to buy seeds. He never went to the shops. He died without a bank account. But he was sustainable. The day he died, he had 180 cattle in his kraal. Another 60 or 80 goats that were running around. Another 90 or 95 sheep that were running around. And another 500 flock of, birds, chickens that were running around. He had barns for food. He had barns for seeds. And he even knew how to dig the ground and put some certain herbs. You pardon me, I was too young then to understand what he was putting in, but he would go to the bush and cut some bushes and branches and dump them in this hole, then put all the fresh products in the hole, then cover it up. A refrigerator that was naturally designed, where after the season of harvesting, we could still go back into those barns and go back into the ground, dig up the ground and pick up these crops and pick up these reserves and eat fresh vegetables, fresh pumpkins, fresh cucumbers, fresh. And we survived as a people. So I suggest that in the midst of us looking for solutions that are in the future, which are IT based, which are technologically based, we also needed to step back a little bit and see how do we dry our vegetables, how do we dry our sweet cane, how do we dry some of the meats and etc., so that without using technologies such as electricity and refrigerators, our people can actually have a food bank that is sustainable, that is utilizing and using the methods of the past. When we unite as Africans, we can be able to find a solution towards the future. But when we constantly imbibe, collect, adopt, assimilate civilizations that are Western in nature, from medicine through education and politics, we will still discover that at the peak of our balance sheets showing a positive, our culture and our spirituality will constantly be at a negative. To echo on the words that are given by the honorable guest from Pumalanga, we have the land, we have the soil. And if we have the land and the soil, the question is, how do we make our success story. Speak to the indigenous knowledge that we already have, the technological advancements that we are now receiving, and food security banks that are in the future. But having said that, I want to challenge all of us and say, as Africans, we need to start finding a common place of unity. How do we unite? How do we come together? How do we share notes? How do you preserve food in the south? How do you preserve food in the north? How do you preserve food in the west? How do you preserve in Africa, by the way? And how do you survive? I'm looking at the tribes of the Bushmen, the Kalahari, the Khoi, and the Sons. The amount of knowledge that they have from ancient historical past, thousands of years, an accumulation of information and knowledge. In our generation, within the next 50 years, this tribe will be wiped out on the face of the earth. They are not going to be remembered again. But when you wipe out such an indigenous tribe, what are they going away with? They are going away with all the information that they had. Before we wipe them off, can we go closer to them, learn from them, take notes from them? How do you survive the forests? Which trees are in the bush here that you can eat from? Which herbs in the bush here can give you water? Which herb can you bite and eat and you will not be hungry for the next 2 weeks? Which one can you eat? You will not be thirsty for the next 2 days. This information is still with us as Africans. And I want to challenge Aido, in the midst of us moving into urbanization, food security, and etc., for the people that are already sustainable in the town areas, I want to throw us back again and say, what are we doing in terms of speaking to the indigenous systems so that we can harvest the past, apply it in the present, and preserve it for the future? Unity is what we need. There's enough knowledge systems in Africa which we can utilize. Again, I want to say, from Algeria to South Africa, Aido must also have a research center where constantly we are having conversations with indigenous people so that we can harvest their knowledge, harvest their fashion, harvest their culture, harvest their spirituality, and all these elements put together, including education. Harvest all this stuff and preserve it somewhere, because Aido will become a hub of knowledge systems, both of the past, the present, and the future, which are sustainable. But unity is our password. How do we begin to come together as Africans? And as we are coming together, are we coming together on an African agenda, or are we coming together on a European agenda? The question is, our development, is it African based or European, so that we can focus into the future? Honorable guests here with me today on the Aido platform, I want to challenge us that our development must not only become colonial, Western, and European, but our development must also begin to look at how does Aido respond to African issues so that we can come with African solutions. Having said that, unity is power. Those that are in the lake regions can give us water and fish technologies. Those that are in the desert can give us desert technologies. Those that are in the rainforests of the equatorial, Guinea, for example, Gambia, for example, Congo, parts of Tanzania and parts of Kenya and parts of Uganda, can give us technologies that are in the jungle. If we allow this generation to go with colonial industrialization, we may find that the next generation will be bankrupt of the knowledge that we have in our hands. It's unfortunate. Those that have money don't have ideas, and those that have ideas don't have money. I find myself trapped in that environment. In as much as we are thinking of development, if a bushman should walk up to us and say, I don't want your food, I don't want your clothes, I don't want your education, I don't want your technology, I just want to live as a bushman, does democracy allow them to be what they want to be? Because democracy says freedom to be as a baseline of human rights. Having said that, we needed to start uniting as Africans. And our unity does not put aside our diversities. So we are different, but we share the same continent. I want to challenge and ask Aido the question, what do we do as a global organization while we are pushing forward? How do we draw back a little bit so that we can collect enough information that galvanizes the African continent so that we can move towards a common goal? I thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to address you. Not everything that I say might be acceptable to you, but in all honesty, I have a strong passion that is sitting in my spirit that tells me that our success is based on our unity. With those few words, I want to thank you and encourage you, and thank you one more time for giving me an opportunity to address you. But our solutions for the future can actually be incubated in our knowledge of the past. Sankofa, look backwards and you'll see the future. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Bishop Maponga, for such wonderful, very strong words, very passionate words, same as our King, His Royal Highness, who also has said he is sending Aido to go and have this mandate, run and bring back what the people need, his masses, which is all of us. And now you are also emphasizing, Bishop, to say, how do we, as Aido, respond to the African challenges, and how do we as Aido activate or bring the African solutions, not just, and how much of the past are we bringing into this future? We have heard you say loud and clear. Thank you very much. Thank you for making time. Thank you for honoring us. And we know today, allow me to say so. Those with ears, they have heard. And thank you very much, Sir. We are going to go forward with our program on the same level, on the same spirit, on the same passion. We are now going to go on our first panel discussion. They will be talking to us about digital ICT, fourth industrial revolution, a focus on education and health. This panel discussion will be moderated by Her Excellency Sipogazi Simandla. On here to help her unravel this topic, it will be Professor Ade Ojeniyi, who is a former physician, a medical advisor for Nigerian government. Also Collins Nambungu, founder and CEO, Organization for Leadership and Strategy Development. We have Dr. Patrick Engeu Ongwang, the medical researcher from Barara University, and Mr. Melvin Lubega, IT entrepreneur and co-founder of COI. To all our panelists, as I have named them, please take up the stage. Madam Sipogas is already there, waiting, and we are all ears, we are all relaxed. We want to hear what are we going to be here to be learning today. Thank you very much, Madam. Take up the stage.
This afternoon I greet all of you. Uspogazi Senem Simandla from the clan of Amajola, Ompango Motangeb, Tolelom Twagas, Sosaklo Vuguzumbet, Usukunola Dibash, Tika Ivumane Pogot. Welcome everyone, and thank you for this morning, afternoon, it might be evening, wherever you might be connecting the parts of the world, and the panel that we have today. I'm almost having my legs split today, being an African child while trying to address technology topics. So I hope I do justice to both. And if I don't, I'm still a young lady learning, and I'm in the presence of family. So I'm sure I'll be advised differently if I still grow. But I am honored to be in the midst of such wise people with good intent and who have the same heart that I have for my continent. Whenever someone wants to introduce the fourth industrial revolution, I have my level of reluctance, because while it's a forward thinking, we cannot dilute or negate where we are at. So with all the panelists that I'll be engaging with today, Prof. Ade, His Excellency, Mr. Colin, Mr. Anop Trion, Dr. Patrick, and Mr. Mellon. I will start off with each one as you introduce yourselves, just to maybe take us through from the specifics of either the health sector or the education sector, whichever is your specialty. I know with Prof. Ade and with Mr. Anop and Dr. Patrick, we'll be talking from a context of health, and Mr. Collins and His Excellency Mellon will be talking from technology and from education. I just want to know, what is your view of the African status of healthcare, taking in the dichotomy that we've got what pulls us, which is the Western view, and we've got who we are, which should be grounding us. Where are we at? And what's your view on it before we actually even look at whether the fourth industrial revolution is worth looking at for us or not? And if it's okay, I would like Prof. Ade to maybe start the conversation for us. Prof. Prof. Ade? Is His Excellency?
If he doesn't respond, you can go on.
We move on. He'll join us. Dr. Patrick?
On.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And I'm happy to be part of this team, great team. As members have already highlighted, Africa started moving through Aido. Chair, going to your question, the state of African health, I would like to say that we made a very big mistake as the world altogether by the colonialist or Western countries suppressing and trying to replace the African health system with their own health system. Why do I say so? Every culture, every group of people, especially Africa, over the years, thousands of years, we learned to survive and develop ourselves. And we have had several intellectual achievements that we developed thousands of years ago that sustained us for thousands of years that the Western people try to replace or destroy. And because of that, we have been enslaved into following a culture or a system or health system that is not indigenous to us. Let me give you examples. There is evidence that Africans were the first to practice cesarean section, delivering a baby by surgery, here in Bunyoro, just in Western Uganda. There is evidence that Africans were the first to practice vaccination. There is strong evidence that Africans actually never used to die of diseases like malaria until the Western countries brought their method of treatment to Africa. And because of that, we replaced our original well-developed system of healthcare with Western healthcare that we cannot sustain. We have become slaves. We now import basic healthcare products like medicines for malaria when the trees from which they extract are actually here in Uganda. Because of that, our health system has collapsed. We can no longer sustain our own health system because we are depending on imported healthcare system. We must go back to what our grandfathers used to use in order for us to sustainably handle our healthcare system. I'm 47 years old. I have memory of how we grew up. in the early 70s and 80s. Hospital was not a common place for us to visit like these days. These days, hospitals are packed with people. Why? Because we lost the traditional healthcare system where primary healthcare was done at home. My mother knew medicines for diarrhea, for cough, for malaria, for many diseases. She only used to take me to hospital whenever I developed an infection of the chest. But other forms of diseases were handled at home. She had a backyard of medicinal plants. She never used to spend on traditional healthcare system if we are to benefit from the subsidy that our grandfathers learned. And if the world is to benefit, the developed world must stop imposing their own ideas to us, because whenever they bring their ideas, they destroy ours, and they end up also losing on what they could have benefited from ours. Africa is rich in a lot of knowledge, methods, and materials that the world can benefit from. But as long as they continue to suppress and bring theirs, they will also miss the good that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much on that opening strong words.
Thank you. Thank you. Quite interesting. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you, sir.
Oh, okay, very well. My presentation is on education. By the way, my name is Collins Nabuku. I'm sorry you didn't get that correctly. I'm actually trying to be able to share my screen. How many minutes do I have, please?
5.
5 minutes, okay. 5 minutes. Let me quickly just share my screen if that's possible, because it will help me with the information that I need to pass on here.
Can IT please help us to make sure that
Yes.
he is given co-host?
Yes, I think that's working now.
Okay.
Just a minute. Okay, are we able to see my screen?
Yes, we are.
All right, thank you very much. So my name is Collins Nabuku, and I am the founder of the Organization for Leadership and Strategy Development, which is a nonprofit. But I also have a for-profit company, which is this one on the screen, Cyber Future Academy. There's a unique design that I have, or I had, while going into this venture, and I guess that I'll be talking to other young people because my focus is on the youth and international development using technology. So I have a lifelong strategic partnership agreement between my two companies. I mean, the nonprofit and the for-profit. So this is the for-profit organization. I know that I was introduced under the nonprofit, but it's all good. So what these two organizations do is to work hand in hand to accelerate the attainment of the United Nations SDGs. And I want to bring that to the perspective. I want to speak from the standpoint of the UN SDGs, and specifically mirroring my discussion on the decade 2020 to 2030, how important this decade is for Africa, even though it's a very important decade globally for the United Nations, for everyone, but for Africa. And so that's where I'm mirroring down the whole conversation around education and education perspectives for Africa. And I will also look into a fourth industrial revolution and practically how that affects Africa, how Africa can take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution, how Africa can leverage these new emerging technologies, and also looking at the data. All right, so even though I have a design called the Open Innovation Ecosystem, which is bringing solutions in agriculture technology, in sports technology, in infrastructural technology, and of course in education technology, where we are right now. And so if you look at the United Nations body language, now the UN is preaching the 2030, the SDGs 2030. It means that we are in the last decade, the decade for achieving the SDGs in 2030. And look at the data right now. Africa has 25%. I mean, by 2030, which is the timeline, if you're looking at the timeline, by 2030, Africa, we have 25% of the world working population, and they are under the age of 25. That means that by the year 2030, Africa will have or should be able to supply a quarter, 25% of the entire of the entire labor force for the entire world. It means that while population is depleting across Western Europe, it is exponentially growing in Africa. Now, this year, 2020, the World Economic Forum also released another data, and through of course, the PricewaterhouseCoopers also released the similar data, indicating about an impending population explosion across West Africa. Now, my country, I'm in Lagos, by the way. I'm actually in Lekki, the home of the NSAS protest. Now, in 2030, Nigeria will have 7 million new babies born in Nigeria. And it will shock you that the entire Western Europe is only expected to produce about 5 million, a little bit over 5 million babies. United States will have 4 million new babies, while Nigeria, just one country in Africa, is having 7 million. And when you look at this trajectory, if you analyze very well, this trajectory is expected to continue for the next 7 years. And if Nigeria, I'm just singling out this country, not for any reason, but for the population capacity. If Nigeria maintains this trajectory for the next 10 years into 2030, it means that there are going to be 7 million times 10. It means that Nigeria will have 70 million new babies, new population in the next 10 years. And how does this really affect Africa and the entire world, especially moving in the line of fourth industrial revolution? Is this a disadvantage or an advantage? These are new generation. And these new generation are coming from a generation that hasn't been experienced before. The new generation before the coronavirus. Coronavirus, by the way, is a new era altogether. So before coronavirus, we already had a generation called the Alpha generation, the generation Alpha. After Generation X, you had the Z, you have the Y, you have all sorts. I'm from the millennial generation. Now you have the Alpha generation. Now when the post-COVID, all these new babies are going to have another generation. I don't know what they're going to call this generation. But this generation that is coming after COVID-19 are going to be super generation. And Africa is having more of this population than the rest of the world. You know about Italy, how that the population of Italy is depleting. Germany, Switzerland, and the rest. So we look at what Africa can do with information technology. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I know I've got 5 minutes just to make an introduction. In my data analysis and all of what I'm telling you, maybe I'll just wrap up here, and next time I'm called up, I will go into specifics, looking at the data, what the fourth industrial revolution holds for us, what Africa can do with the diaspora, the African diaspora. The African Union has recognized the African diaspora as the 6th region. And you have well over 250 million to 380 million Africans living outside of the continent of Africa. And most of them are product of the brain drain syndrome. It means that Africa has the best brains of Africa, African descendants living outside of the continent. In other instances, such as China used, or rather leveraged on the diaspora population to redevelop China in the Great Recession. Okay, it was the diaspora of China that grew the economy, the 50% of the economy of China that they are enjoying today after 1981. So Africa has a chance now, also given that the United Nations has recognized the year 2020 to 2024 rather 2020-2024 as the decade of the African descendants, when the UN recognized the transatlantic slave trade and passed an act called the Reparation Act, the Restitution and Reparation Act, meaning that all Africans all over the world are recognized to take advantage of this decade to bring up projects and programs that will grow the African diaspora and African economy. Today, I'm also attending the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit, and it will interest you to know a whole lot is going on. The Diaspora Trust Fund of Nigeria, a Diaspora Sovereign Fund in Ethiopia, in Uganda is trying to set up one in Senegal. The other gentleman, Akon, from the diaspora from America, is building a smart city worth $6 billion. So how can Africa start to harness these diaspora investments, converting them into foreign direct investment, the way it will affect the youth, affect technology, and even affect governance? So thank you for this keynote introduction. I'm willing to share more if I still have time. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I think we are going to be hopping, as you would have seen the structure of our panel, between education and health, as both of those are the pillars of the knowledge that we know and the body that carries us for as long as we are on earth. If we have those two, we will go a long way. We've got Melvin as well. And I think to you as a IT entrepreneur, is within the health sector and education, how does technology make it better for us, or does it even? And if so, how do we get it into an African context of whatever the 4IR is depicted to be? Over to you, sir.
No, thank you very much, Sipokazi. And also thank you to everyone for joining. I think what is an important conversation. And I think the question you ask is a very important one. And I think it's almost the question of what is the role of technology both in the education and in the healthcare space in terms of one achieving certain outcomes. And so just by way of background, my name is Marvin Lebega, as you articulated, and my exposure has been primarily building technology companies that service clients around the world, and particularly in the education space, we service clients in about 28 countries, helping them better invest in themselves to better achieve the professional learning objectives. And what's quite interesting with, I think, the framing of this conversation is, whilst education can be taken out of context, the reality is that the importance of education, I think I quite like Collins's focus on the SDGs, because the first line, when the SDGs articulate education, it speaks to the role education plays in promoting upward socioeconomic mobility. And essentially what that translates to is, how does education enable someone to be more productive within the economy and also contribute to a successful society? And complement to the fact that, as Colin mentioned, that population growth in Africa is on a rise and unprecedented, one has to question whether the modes of education of the past are sustainable to actually upskill and train the people, and in the same way provide healthcare in the same way that we have historically, just from a pure number basis. And so I think this is where one can look towards technology and think through how technology actually augments, or ameliorates rather, the ability to provide services both from an education and a healthcare perspective. But I think what's quite important to remember here is that, technology in and of itself isn't necessarily a panacea or a solution to all the problems being faced. And so what you often find is the benefits of technology depends on one's starting point. And so, for example, here in South Africa, I have the privilege of working with our ministers, where we focus on how do we include the broad economy in the fourth industrial revolution through digital access. And it almost comes down to, what is one's starting point? So what technology is relevant to a particular country, city, tribe, really comes down to what is your starting point and what are you trying to achieve. And so we typically find that the best models in terms of technology when it comes to both health and education are ones that, one, have a deep understanding of the context. And context is not only an economic question, but also a cultural one, and also one in terms of knowledge. And I think also, two, it meets the particular objective. So think about the example where if you want to teach someone how to count 1 + 1 = 2, it's a very different use case if you want to teach someone how to use Microsoft Excel. And technology can play different roles in those different spaces. But ultimately, I think when you think of case studies around the world, technology has played an important role in terms of scale and reach. I think particularly when you think about how does one, get medical supplies at scale. So, as articulated earlier, we're currently in the COVID pandemic. So, for example, a vaccine will be created. How are we going to effectively distribute that vaccine across the continent, as an example? And technology could be a possible enabler to achieve that, and someone's going in that direction. Even in the same with education, where you found during this period of time where many schools physically closed down, technology was an enabler to deliver that sort of trading. And so it really comes down to the simple question of, what are we trying to achieve, and where does technology actually make sense to come in, as opposed to, let's say, technology being a solution to all the problems being faced. And I think us as Africans need to define, where do we see technology having the most benefit in what we conceive to be quality education and quality healthcare.
Thank you for that. And as you're introducing, you're saying, with all the technology, it doesn't become a pill that solves everything. But what will it augment to give us the better life that we actually want to have? I want to go back to Dr. Patrick a bit and almost tie up Bishop Maponga, and you also mentioned it, that we have a gap in how we have looked at medicine. As you said, primary health care was always based at home. Now we have a generation that has moved into the urban areas, and absolutely nothing wrong with that. I happen to stay in an urban area as well. But we lost some of that knowledge to be able to give us the next step and keep it going forward. If we were to bring in technology to have a database that captures all of these medicines, would technology not assist us in capturing all the medicines, all the types of plants that we should know about? Because now we have seen, even within the COVID era, that now steaming, using sage, using, you name all the traditional medicines that before were not used. I think one of my biggest aha moments with COVID is that steaming used to be thought to be a bit, backward. Now everyone is talking about steaming like as if it's a day-to-day habit, and it's become now acceptable. How do we bring in technology to help us to document better what we've had, and to then reintroduce what a generation 5 decades from now used to have as a norm? Over to you, Dr. Patrick.
Okay, thank you very much. First, I want to say that much as the world is moving to the fourth industrial revolution, Africa, we must move according to our own appropriate steps, I should say. The truth is that the Western world is far advanced in terms of technology than we are. While we need the technology that they are having, we should not forget to walk the right steps slowly, as we also advance our own economies and the technology that we need. Now, one thing I've learned over the years is that, as I said before at the beginning, that the developed countries, the developed world, will always try to keep ahead of us. And before we catch up with them, they bring in something new, so they'll always keep being ahead of us. And as long as we keep following them, they will always be ahead of us. The only way for us to try and bring them to our side is when we begin developing our own steps, our own things, and building them slowly. I agree that we need technology to help us. But as Melvin has said, we must tailor technology to benefit our own progress, not just copy the technology that they're bringing. Now, back to your question, how can we use technology to educate the young population about our medicines and health solutions in Africa? The good news is that the current generation know how to use technology. They have smartphones, most of them have smartphones, they can use computers, and therefore it's easy to reach millions within the shortest time possible. So if we can build our database of African knowledge, of different medicines, and make simple presentation on how these people can learn them, and show the benefits of this medicine to the young generation, and show them that actually this medicine can be used from home or can be developed into products, can be exported and benefit them, benefit the economy, they'll pick interest. And the other issue is that we must also improve our medicines. The biggest challenge we have had is that we have maintained the crude form that the grandfathers handed to us. The bitter plant, the way it is bitter, some of them maybe are not easy to grow. We must use technology to improve them. If it means put into capsules because they are bitter, let's develop them into capsules. If it means put them into tablets because they prefer tablets, let's make sure that we modernize our traditional medicine while retaining its integrity. So back to technology, I think we can use the current technology system to capture different plants we have, not only the plants, but also the methods of how those plants are used, because most times the Europeans come to Africa, they pick the material, they pick the plant, but they forget that there are methods of how those plants are used. For example, I know people who can cure epilepsy completely. There is no Western medicine that can cure epilepsy. It's not there. I don't know, and I'm a pharmacologist and a pharmacist. There is no Western cure for epilepsy, but there are Africans who have methods and plants. When used together, a patient can completely get cured of epilepsy. So we must not only capture the plants, but also capture the methods from these old people, of knowledge holders. The question comes, however, how do we convince the old people, the knowledge holders, to release their knowledge and be data-based? There must be a mechanism of compensation. I want them to propose to the government of Uganda that we have people in our societies who are so rich with medical knowledge, indigenous knowledge, that can solve different problems. There's an old man in Buganda who has a medicine for any type of poison. He brought it to my office, the lab, and he said, young man, this medicine was given by my grandfather. Whatever poison you swallow, after I give you this medicine, you will recover. I picked this medicine and I took to the laboratory and I went to the National Center for Poisons. I asked them, give me the most potent poison you have. I want to test this medicine from the old man. And I did the experiment. I was amazed that the experimental animals that I gave the medicine before giving the poison, none of them showed any single sign of toxicity. They were all healthy and moving around. The second experiment where I gave the poison to the experimental animals, then I gave the medicine. While they're about to die, I gave them the medicine and they all recovered after 8 hours. That really amazed me at the level of knowledge that Africans have. Wow. Now, I assure you, most of the Western medicine don't know how to handle poisoning. Now, that knowledge is that old man. He may die with it. He cannot release it without being compensated. How can government, how can Africa put up a system to compensate this for this knowledge and capture that knowledge and have it protected as African heritage? So I think, yes, technology is good, but we need to see what suits us in Africa and how best we can use it. But again, also, how sure are we that when database this knowledge, it will not be taken to other developed world and utilized before we realize the benefits of it? So, yes, I think we need to find a mechanism for Africa that's protective, that's beneficial. Thank you.
Melvin, I'm hearing intellectual property. There is plants that we have. There is methods of using plants. And as an engineer myself, what then comes to mind for me is systems. And I hear from Dr. Patrick, you would find a lot of older people who are wise and who know these medicines, but we don't have a system in place. One, to if you've written theses, you have to reference the author. And I think in these instances, we would need to go beyond referencing. We would need to compensate. What sort of systems, what sort of intellectual property, and Collins would probably also be able to come in here to just shed light in terms of securing our data, in terms of creating databases that are alive, that are not stagnant. What sort of methods could we use to make sure while we have the content, we capture the plans, we capture the methods, and if Aido were to come into the space, what sort of, as the holder of culture and African heritage, what could we do? Because I'm almost seeing a project looming in here that could be a takeaway as we close off today.
No, I think Sibokazi hit the nail on the head there. I think there's something to be said around having a diversity of data, and this is even data in the most generic sense, does enable one to have a richer, more valuable solution. I think the point that, the doctor highlighted earlier as a key one around how do we as Africans, one, better cross-pollinate not only data, but also ideas and historical knowledge but also two, how do we then store that? But three, how do we then use that for purposes that are of value to us? And it's quite interesting, particularly now, if you think about, in the biomedical space and even in like the genome mapping space these days, where there is great demand for African data, because the reality is this, even when it comes to, like, for example, basic medicines or treatments, as doctors mentioned, it is not fully understood that what works in the Western world will work in Africa. And I think there's something that we could do as Africans to better understand ourselves so we can actually make solutions, because the principle is a very simple one. He who understands the problem, or he or she who understands the problem the best, will create the best solution. And so I think if we think through how we systematically actually take our data, take our knowledge, and take the rich understanding, which we've gained over centuries, in fact millennia, of our context, we'll be able to better come up with solutions. And this is across spheres even outside of education and health, two things that we face as a continent. And so if you think about, Aido as a community, I think just given the direct diversity of the different cultures, nations represented in this grouping alone, already we are stronger than any of our individual countries or individuals our own. And I think what needs to require further thought now is how do we leverage that diversity as a strength to achieve our objectives as an organization, but even as a continent.
Unmute. You've just gone on mute.
Sorry, I actually had muted myself. It was me edging out because I realized that Collins wanted to say something.
Okay. Collins, will have you come in?
Yes, around data, very, very important asset that we need, because I believe that it's time for Africa to start curating and aggregating our content into digital assets that can now be exported. Times have gone past when African nations would consummate laws to protect assets that were gotten from under the ground. The oil wells of Nigeria, the gold mines of Ghana and all the coast, and these are the artifacts that were taken from Benin Kingdom and all that. But now we have our intellectual properties that can also be digitized. For instance, I keep speaking about this story of the transatlantic slave trade, and how that Africa is now taking a great advantage of that debacle, and even telling the story and the African history. Our heritage, the African heritage, is a very, very highly prized asset that Africa now needs to start to digitize our assets. Yes, of course, intellectual property. We see Google, even foreign companies being the ones mapping Africa and owning the rights to these assets. Meanwhile, Africa has a chance actually to not only map digitally, but also to digitize the assets. For instance, we have tourism in Africa as a very highly income generating concept, and yet in the wake of coronavirus, tourism has been devastated, has been disrupted across the world. But yet there is tourism with technology that you don't have to move from point A to point B to actually travel. Now there is the concept of virtual augmented reality and all these other 360 degrees. When Africa has the best landscape in the world, but we are not able to show the rest of the world what we have until they are able to travel. How many percentage of the world needs to travel to Nairobi before income is generated from tourism or in South Africa? But with technology, looking at so many of assets that we can have intellectual property around. I just picked up tourism. So I think that it's high time for Africa to start looking at technologies that are working, elsewhere, and how they can make them indigenous, how we can, integrate them into our African indigenous systems. And it's the young people, like I would always advocate for the young people. The old generation is going. because they were not technologically driven from the onset. But the new generation, the youth now needs to be empowered. There has to be a new social re-engineering of the mindset of the people, and growing them, encouraging them to, to build ecosystems around the youth, so they will be able to have their minds open to new technologies, new narratives. There'll be more discussion and more interaction. From there, I'm based in Africa. I have a lot of my friends and colleagues who are Africans, but they don't live here. Therefore, the experiences are never the same. But when they come back from Silicon Valley, arriving back to Nigeria or to Ghana or to Ethiopia, they have a new concept, an entirely different concept, which might never work if they don't have people on ground like myself with a real African experience. Therefore, what I'm trying to expect to happen is that there will be more cultural and educational exchanges between Africans at home on the continent and Africans from the diaspora, to bring back what happened during the brain drain. That the talent out there are what is needed to develop Africa, to look into new industrial areas and intellectual property issues. And that is the only way that we can propel development and industrialization in Africa forward. Hello.
I had muted myself there. Apologies for that. If I pronounce any name incorrectly, so I apologize up front. Sekito in North America, I'll just read the comment. It says that the medical space is clear and we need to publish these clinical solutions to validate them to the industry. Unfortunately, we are still behind in communicating our knowledge to the market. The continent is full of foreign researchers publishing African data. I say after attending an African Research Day here in North America. So communicating our knowledge to the market. Dr. Patrick, what would be some of the best mechanisms to make sure after we have gathered the information from the knowledgeable elders and we've put it on some type of a database, what would be the best mechanism? As you said, for as long as we are following, we'll always be behind. But we need to create a platform where we are the leaders in it and have people come to us and engage with them on our terms. What would be the way to circumvent the fact that we have a lot of foreign researchers publishing African data? Are we documenting our research well enough? And if so, how then do we communicate it as the next level?
Okay, thank you. I think we need to learn from China.
Yeah.
I was in China for 3 months learning their medicines. China, they made sure that they captured all the indigenous knowledge they had from their elders into a database and made a national intellectual property for China. So whoever wants to produce any product, whether it's an industry or a country, based on that knowledge, they had to negotiate with Chinese government, of which the original knowledge holder would also benefit. So I think Africa, we need to establish a platform that captures each indigenous knowledge from anybody who has special knowledge, at national level referenced, and then whoever uses that knowledge can be tracked by the governments. We could do it at African level, we do it at country level. So I think we can learn from China model, and it can help us protect our knowledge and also benefit the knowledge holders and Africa as a whole. So I think, to me, it can be done if the governments take it up, set up a system for documenting it and have it protected at national level. But as long as we allow people to come to Africa and go to the villages, give small tips to the old women, pick up their knowledge and go with it to developed countries, we shall continue losing. So whoever comes to Uganda or Africa must get permission from the government. So we know what knowledge are they coming to capture and how they're going to use it. And then how will it benefit Uganda or Africa or the old man or old woman in the village? That needs to be done as quick as possible. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And thank you for the contributions. I'm saying just as if you want to post a question, I've noted some of the questions for then the Q&A and also on the chat. We're trying to get to some of them as we get them, and some of the comments. And all the people that are really learning and enjoying the session that we're having, we are also learning and having fun in the process. We have about 5 minutes to wrap up, and I just want to pose then the last question to the panel. We will start with Collins, and then we have Melvin, and we'll finish up with Dr. Patrick. Where to from here? And how does Aido benefit or play a role in us moving forward with African heritage, with the context of what we want to do in healthcare and in education? How do we move from here so that if we were to have a takeaway, we have program directors and a big panel that's making notes and in organizing this conference? Where to from here for us? We'll start with Collins.
Okay, thank you. Where to from here? Let me look at a tripartite solution. I'll just pick out 3 components. So I would come from the standpoint of data, the fact that we don't have to joke with data. Pay attention to data. Yeah, I will also encourage that we also pay attention to the 4th industrial revolution and how that will help Africa. I think that coronavirus is the rehabbing for Africa to pay attention for the future. All right. So what has happened with the coronavirus has shown the whole world that Africa was never ready for anything. Emergency. We were not prepared for the future, and so with the coronavirus, we also see a lot of strength and resilience, especially among the youth, who have shown the youth power and hope for the future. And I think that Africa needs to utilize that. Okay, another point is the diaspora. Africa needs to utilize the diaspora, the power of the diaspora. If you look at your data, you see that the diaspora is making remittances back to Africa up to the tune of billions of dollars annually. And even in Nigeria, the FDI from the diaspora, it equals more than what the other FDIs bring into the country. But then the remittances are unofficial. They are in the unorganized private sector, and they go into family and all that. But if Africa and the African Union through the AfCFTA finally, which is another touch point that I would discuss, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement is the biggest opportunity for Africa as a continent to encourage intra-Africa trade, diaspora trade as well, and to encourage independence of Africa on the foreign or Western economies. So if Africa would utilize the opportunities of intra-trade, and with that comes a lot of exchange, the center of global economic productivity, and well, of course, because of the population that is exploding in Africa. So with all of that, Africa needs to look at these things, especially the African Union. And if we can leverage on these 4 aspects, the data, what the data is saying, and where the 4th industrial revolution is driving to with technology, and the diaspora, the power of the diaspora, I will always mention that. If you look at the other diasporas, like the Chinese diaspora, the Jewish diaspora, these are the people that redeveloped their own nations when they had economic challenges, and then the African Continental Free Trade. And of course, the power of the youth, and not to clamp down on youth when they go on social media to talk like it's happening in my country, Nigeria. It is wrong. We need to encourage more conversation among the youth on the social media. The problem they have here in Africa is because the government is so bad that they think that the youth are just after the government to speak against the government. Meanwhile, the youth are speaking the language that they understand. They're speaking whatever is happening. That's reality. If you give them technology to work with, if you give them a lot of things to keep them busy, that's what they're going to discuss when they're on the internet, on social media. But if you're a bad government and you clamp down on the youth, you try to hurt them, or you try to kill them, or you try to say what they're saying is not right, then that's what they're going to talk about when they're on the internet, on the social media. In China, where I live and went to school, nobody is scared to go on the social media and say what they want, because what they want to say is never going to be against the government, because they love their government. You see, they're going to talk about their technology, their IP, intellectual property, the culture, the social, the technology, not talk against the government. But in Africa, because the government is so bad, once the social media opens up, everyone is against the government. But that's the reality. You see, so we can also use technology to encourage good governance. Finally, that's the final point. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. We've noted the 3 points that you raised. Melvin, let us hear your thoughts as your parting shots as we wrap up the panel.
Oh, thank you very much, Sipokazi, and thank you to everyone for the engaging questions. I think I'd like to end off with a question that was asked in the Q&A, and I think the question was direct in terms of how does one protect their IP across different geographies? And I may have a bit of a technology experience bend on this, but the reality is that IP is not best protected through law, but through creating value. And I use the example of Uber. The reality is that every single piece of software that goes into Uber, anyone can actually pick up and build. You can probably rebuild Uber today end to end in about 3 weeks. But what makes Uber valuable, what makes Facebook valuable, what makes Instagram valuable, what makes Zoom valuable is more so the network effects, the users it has on the platform. And I think when we think through the question you asked directly, Sipokazi, how do we as Aido take some of these conversations forward? I think it's about us as a community focusing on what can we build and do together that actually creates value? Because until you create value, you can't capture value. Otherwise, they're being value destructive. And so value can start in one's own society, one's own community, and you build from there. And it's not to say that value we create here doesn't have value to those external, because the question was asked again, how do you attract investors? I think of my technology businesses, and to be honest, so we've raised probably over $100 million in the last 2 years for our business. And the reality is not one set's come from someone on the continent. It's international investors who see the potential for what we're building. And I think of a company that was bought, I think 2 weeks ago, good friends of ours, a Nigeria payments company called Paystack, which was bought again for hundreds of millions of dollars by a US entity because they were solving African problems in a unique way. And so I don't think the goal is to say, how do we build solutions that are relevant elsewhere? It's more so saying, how do we build solutions as a community that creates so much value even for us as a community, and then our communities, and then our societies, then our countries, such that we can actually capture that value. And I think it's almost beginning where we are, as opposed to trying to think of a bigger picture and forget that actually starts exactly where we're seated right now.
Awesome. So you're saying value trumps protection, and I hear you on that one. If I was in poetry, I'd probably be doing that right now. So I hear you. Dr. Patrick, your comments, sir.
Thank you very much. So where from here, and how can Aido come in to play a big role? I want to say that world over, population is moving towards natural products, indigenous knowledge. Especially in the area of health, most of the people I interact with no longer interested in pharmaceutical drugs. They're looking for organic health products because of side effects and also cost and so on. So Africa is very rich in all these areas. And already there is research work that has been done in most universities. Information is there, and this information can be captured. I think Aido can help engage with governments of African countries to establish systems for capturing and protection of this knowledge at national level. Most African countries do not have this knowledge captured, databased, and protected. If we do that, big companies from Europe, America will come to look for that knowledge because it's captured and protected. And they can already begin paying money before using that knowledge. But also, we can go ahead and validate different materials and knowledge in the database and prove which ones are useful and put them into industry, produce products which can be exported even to Europe. Already, as I speak now, most European countries are importing raw materials from Africa in terms of superfoods from Africa, medicinal plant additives that they're adding to their medications and their products. But few countries like Ghana, Ethiopia, and Senegal are taking up the opportunity. So I think Aido has a big role to engage different countries, governments, researchers, and see how we can put this knowledge together to benefit the continent. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all the speakers. I think that's all the time we were given by the program director. If it was up to me, I would keep you longer for the whole day. But I'm afraid not to be invited again and be taken out of the Aido network because I still want to be part of this family. So I have to adhere to Her Excellency Tsepi, and so that I don't get fired and not be invited again. And thank you to His Excellency, the President of Aido, for the contributions and the comments that he sent through as well. We appreciate everyone and all the speakers that prepared. And as I said, for me, I wish I could take this offline and carry on a whole lot further because there's so much richness in the conversation and so much thought that can actually manifest itself. I'm seeing in the comments people asking for Aido to look into holding the patents for these medicinal plants. I didn't even touch on that comment from Petronella, and making sure that we go beyond than what AU has done. So all the comments that have been posted on the chat and also in the Q&A, and the ones that we couldn't get to, I apologize, but I think the program director and her panel, they've picked them up and we will respond to them. Thank you so much. Back to you, Her Excellency Tsepi. And to me, I'll be listening in the rest of the panels. Have yourselves a good afternoon. It is to me in South Africa.
Thank you so much, Madam Sipogazi. You have driven this vehicle so well, and thank you to His Excellency, Mr. Melvin, Dr. Engel, Dr. Patrick, and His Excellency Collins. Ooh, this is really this was a very refreshing conversation, and thank you very much. And you know what? We welcome you warmly, Ms. Sipogazi, to the family. In fact, before you finish today, I'll be adding you on the platforms. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. As we go right along, ladies and gentlemen, before we call upon the next speaker, I just would like to remind everybody that we are at Aido. This is the second day of our business and investment. And today we are saying let culture and business also meet, and let us do business even as culturally leaning organization. So you are at our second day, which is our final day. The program is still jam-packed and it is wonderful. Later on, we are going to have a draw. You know that last week we've been running the competition by Jeunesse. And also thank you very much to our sponsors, Ndlovu Reps and Sons, Starr Radio, and all of those. And as we keep going, we will be mentioning them. Thank you very much to also all Aidoers that have made it yesterday and today, and those that are still coming. To those that are battling, let us help on the network side as well, on the logging in details. Let us help as much as possible. I see that there is a lot of people that are wanting to showcase this day on their social media. Let us take each other, let us take pictures, let us take selfies and take each other. And let me remind you as well that Aido is also present on social media. We are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram. You name them all, we are there. So let us keep them going as well. Aidoers, let us tag. It is only us that can do that. Let us make noise about who we are. This is our program. This is our day. This is our platform. This is our summit. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, without further ado, let us welcome on stage Madam Winfred Warui from Equity Bank. If you are here, Ms. Winfred, please take the stage. Thank you.
Hello, I don't know whether it's good morning, good afternoon to everybody. How are you? Hope you can hear me. I hope I'm
hear
loud
you.
and clear.
Yes,
You can
yes,
hear.
we can hear you and we see you
Okay.
very clear. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. So my name is Winfred. I'm based in Uganda. I'm in charge of diaspora banking and remittance in Uganda, but currently I'm in Kenya. As our ED spoke very clearly yesterday, Equity Bank is a Pan-African bank, and we're situated in 6 African countries. We've taken the whole of East Africa. We've moved to Congo, on the way to Mozambique, eventually to South Africa, going to Ghana and Egypt as we continue to traverse the vast Africa. And so we have a solution for all communities. We have an investment solutions, especially for the diasporans, whether you're Ugandan, Tanzanian, whatever country, whatever distance you come from, we have opportunities, business opportunities. We have financiers. We have a couple of customers who come to us wanting to develop properties in Uganda, in Kenya, in Tanzania, and we are available. We have funding available for those kind of customers. We also have opportunities for investment groups, and that's what we are pushing most of the diasporans to come together in form of investment groups, and then we finance them. We have investment groups that have decided to form organized communities, organized companies, and we are funding them to put up construction works, to put up estates, big estates in Uganda, big estates in Kenya. And so we're saying we're available as a bank to meet your investment needs. We've gone a step further, and as Equity Bank, we have allowed individuals and companies to invest in government securities. So for example, if you're Ugandan and you're based in UK, you can invest in government securities in Kenya. You can invest in government securities in Rwanda. We have those opportunities as a bank. We have a very versatile investment and this is what we are preaching right now to all our customers out there, that we can assist you to invest in any of the countries where we have presence in. And that tells us then that the kind of investment opportunities we're giving you are solid because they're government backed, and we have returns of between 10% to 13% based on the country that one is investing in. We're also saying that as a diasporan community, we have opportunities for you to run accounts, whether they're business or personal accounts. And these accounts, we give you an opportunity to access them from wherever you are in the world. To make you happy, we have gone a step further where we can now access our accounts on WhatsApp. We can access our accounts on Instagram. We can access our accounts on Facebook through the chatbot. So we are opening opportunities for our customers across the world to access their accounts using the current modalities, current technological opportunities, where you just log on to your Facebook, you start chatting with Equity Bank, and you can access your account from wherever. That notwithstanding, from that same account platform, you can transfer your funds, whether you're abroad, you can transfer into any African country, or if you're in any African country, you can transfer to overseas countries from your online portals. So as a bank, what we're saying is that we're available to invest, to grow together, to allow our customers to meet and fulfill their business potential, to fulfill their business dreams and their business needs. We're also saying that as a bank, we're available to over-advise. We have advisory services. If, for example, someone has this big project they want to invest in, we have advisory teams that we work with that we can introduce you to, and they can guide you, whether it's in manufacturing, in tourism, and just like our ED said yesterday, even in real estate, in agriculture. We have gone big in agriculture in Uganda, and so we're available as a bank to offer advisory services to all our customers. And this note is not just for the diaspora, this is both for the diaspora and the local communities. And that is my introductory note today, that as a bank, we are available to do and offer those financial services, those investment opportunities that you're craving for. What we say is that you reach out to us directly and we'll tailor make a product for you. We will tailor make a product that is suited to your dream and your capability. And as a bank, we have also worked with companies whereby if, for example, the investment requirement is too huge for Uganda, we combine countries like Uganda and Kenya and offer huge investment opportunities for companies that want to do mega projects. So we are available both at retail level and at corporate level. We're available at individual level and at group level. And that's our offer to you today. So I'm happy to be here and I'm available to answer any question, any queries, any comments you have. I'm online. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Winfred. There is a question from our president. How are you preparing to support Aido? And who is our relationship manager or contact person?
Thank you very much. So for Aido, we are ready to partner with you depending on your need. The fact that we are a financial services provider, it means that whatever financial requirement you have as a bank, we're available to tailor make and meet your need. As far as relationship management, I become your relationship manager from that perspective because the Aido network will be seated within the diaspora and remittance department where I am the head. So I will be your relationship manager for Aido.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I think also just to emphasize that actually Equity Bank has entered into a relationship where all our businesses are going to be managed by yourselves. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct. Rightfully said.
That is where the relationship is, that you are moving with us going further. So thank you very much. So you then therefore are one of the sponsors that we are saying thank you to you for making these 2 days happen and for going further with this relationship where Africa is ready for business and Africa is ready to develop and progress. And we do welcome you. I heard that you mentioned that you are also preparing to come and have a branch in South Africa. And guess what? You already have, Aido has a chapter, a very strong chapter in South Africa.
Great to know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question, good people? I think from my side, that's the only question I saw. If there is other, I will be able to. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. We continue with our program, good people, good Aidoers. Can I see all the Aidoers? By now, all these hours that we've been together, we do relate what do I mean when I say Aidoers. If you are an Aidoer, say awesome, awesome, awesome in the chat, please. Write awesome, awesome, awesome if you are an Aidoer in the chat. We move right along. Right now, we are going to be having an interlude from Princess Victoria Iganda. We write awesome, awesome, awesome if you are an Aidoer. Even if you've just met us today and you know in your heart and your spirit that I want to be an Aidoer, you put awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. We go to the interlude with Princess Victoria Iganda.
Victoria Uganda. I'm 8 years old and I will be reciting a poem about climate change. We are killing the earth and that's really fun, but no one believes us because we are young. Our forests are turning to ash in a second. Ask California. They'll tell you about it. They'll tell you how they have lost all their homes. While Trump turns a blind eye and tweets on his phone. Global warming's an expected tiger. It's 'cause they're extinct. You don't come to me when your fur coat ain't clean. Then danger list is 41,416. Dear 2045. I don't think we're gonna survive. If you end up hearing this story, I just want to say I'm sorry. Hello everybody, my name is Victoria Uganda. I'm 8 years old and I will be reciting a poem about climate change. We are killing the earth and that's really fun. But no one believes us because we are young. Our forests are turning to ash in a second. Ask California. They'll tell you about it. They'll tell you how they have lost all their homes. Or Trump turns a blind eye and tweets on his phone. Global warming's an expensive little hoax. For the last time, this is not a joke. Our factories are working and toxins emitting. The ozone is crumbling, and we can't stop putting chemicals in, which we're trying to breathe. Our future is stolen, and we are the thieves. Sea levels rising, and icebergs are melting. The coral reef's dying, and no one's helping. Do you realize they keep the oceans alive? This started back in 1985. Don't come to me when your child can't think. Oh, what's a tiger? It's 'cause they're extinct. Don't come to me when your fur coat ain't clean. The endangered list is 41,416. Dear 2045, I don't think we're gonna survive. If you end up hearing this story, I just want to say I'm sorry. Hello everybody.
Destination where we have very beautiful sceneries, historical monuments, and it's the gateway to East Africa. Our passion has been creating authentic programs that vary from traditional series, films, cultural, and shows that showcase our talent and our local culture. The content vary from local series, traditional documentaries, lifestyle shows that showcase our local culture.
76 kilometers south of Likoma and a launching point of Wasini Island is Shimoni, once known as a slave-holding port for East Africa's coastal region.
Apart from having professional filmmakers, we decided to recruit young and vibrant youth who have passion for filmmaking and cultural events. And we decided to train them in different aspects of filmmaking. Therefore, making them have less time in involving themselves with destructive behaviors like drug addicts, hooliganism, and radicalization. In essence, Ashuna Pictures is a hub for youth who have lost all hope. We give them second chance because after the training, they get jobs either in Ashuna Pictures or elsewhere in the industry, and we train new ones. Our involvement with Aido Network International has made it easier for us to create contents and be able to air them in Raia TV. Because Raia TV is part and parcel of Aido Network International. Through the support of Raia TV and Aido Network Kenya, we have been able to produce cultural cooking shows that showcases our Kenyan delicacies. We have been able to create shows that show our local Afro jazz music. The program is called Zegede Show. And also create programs that showcase our traditional weddings together with series and traditional films. And because Raia TV is online, we believe that we have a better viewership throughout internationally because they can be able to live stream Raia TV. For the love of culture and our community, just before the COVID pandemic disrupted our world. We started a program in Kilifi County, which is a coastal part of Kenya, where early marriages and early pregnancy is still widely ignored violation of health and development of girls and young women in the community. But this is on break now because COVID pandemic has disrupted our economy. We were in the process of training parents whose girls have dropped out of schools because of lack of school fees, forced marriages, early pregnancy, and some of them did not want to go back to school. The training was on art making like beadwork, pottery, basket making, woodwork, and farming. We intend to use Raia TV to promote the products both locally and internationally. Then the proceed goes to catering for their needs. Currently, we are working on a TV series called In Between, a series that have both sides of a coin. That is the modern lifestyle plus the traditional lifestyle. It shows us why we should go back to our culture, back to our roots. That is why we say culture without borders. Why am I here? First is to inform the world that Aido Kenya is active and will be more vibrant internationally, and as Aido executive, what I'm doing for the community. I am humbly appealing for well-wishers and investors to assist us in achieving our goals. We have been having challenges in supporting this development achieve their goals because of lack of funds. We would appreciate if Aido Network International, Aido Network Kenya, Raia TV would help us to promote our culture and development in Kenya. Thank you.
A wonderful relationship there. Aido is now with Rai TV that promotes culture and development. We are going far. We are going far. Please clap hands if you can, or just say awesome, awesome Aido on the chat. Awesome, awesome, awesome Aido. We are going far. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome on stage our country representative, Mr. George Aleu, and his team, Miss Anna Hambega, whom we've just seen, Miss Nina Musanga City, on the stage, please. Mr. George, Your Excellency George, is Kenya in the room? Is Kenya in the room?
Yes, we are.
Thank you so much. After that wonderful video, I was about to cry if you were not gonna come up. Thank you so greatly. Yes, Miss Anne, wonderful work, and the work that you are doing to promote the culture and all the content in Swahili, it is just so brilliant. And we are here, and we thank you. We welcome Rai TV. And my word, now you are going to just take us with the wings of media into the space. Thank you so much. Are we all here? And Dr. George, please unmute yourself. We can see you. Your Excellency George. Miss Nina, are you here? Miss Nina? My goodness. And how do I say welcome? We say karibu.
Karibu.
Karibu, Dr. George. Karibu. Can the technical team help? What happened to Dr. George? All right, and Nina, is Nina here? Other than that, you can take it up while they are preparing to come on stage. Tell us about Kenya. Tell us what you have for us. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. Sorry, I didn't expect to be the first because I wanted George, our representative, to talk first.
Good evening, good afternoon. All protocols observed. His Highness, kings and queens and princesses. I'm very, very honored to be here this particular time. Actually, I never believed that at one point I'll be talking in front of such dignified people, the kings and queens, and I'm very honored. George was to introduce Kenya. So basically what I can just talk is about Kenya being a very beautiful country. Kenya, we are ready for for the change, because I'll talk as a Kenyan that we are here and we would like Aido Network International to be able to assist us to connect throughout the world. That is to connect our culture, people to know more about Kenya. We have a very, very beautiful country. We are doing a lot of beautiful things here, and would like people to know what we are doing, not the Western things, but our natural cultural thing. Our culture, we have a very diverse culture. I'm personally based in Coast, that is Mombasa, Kenyan Coast. And in Kenyan Coast, we have a diverse culture infused, that is the Arabian and our coastal culture, that's Swahili. And Swahili is one of the best, I can say one of the best language in at the moment, which is growing very, very fast. I would say out of the African languages, Swahili is growing very fast internationally. And I'm personally here to make sure that we promote the Swahili culture, and not only the Swahili culture, but our Kenyan culture. Because I believe through Aido International connecting us to the world, we are able to showcase what we have. The other time I was talking to Mr. George, and he showed me wonderful work he used to do in 1977-78. That is promoting Kenya as a tourist destination to the world. He went to Germany, he's been going around to UK, US to promote. So we would like through Aido to be able to showcase what we have, our culture, know what we have. We also have kings. We have the Bugoma. And we have the Arabian culture, the sultans also with us here. So, yes, thank you, Aido, for making it possible for us to reach the world. Shepi?
Thank you very much, and thank you so much. Indeed, it is a wonderful relationship, and we will all reach the world together. We believe in partnership. We believe in, as Aido, in independency. That as Rai, you are still Rai, and we are still Aido, but we work together for development of our nations. Thank you very much. We are still unable to reach out to Nina or George. Is there anything else that we can? I don't know. We are going to move forward because we have tried to reach out to George. I've tried to write to him. I'm not sure if he gets the message.
Yeah. Nina is here.
Nina, thank you very much. Nina, thank you very much. You can take up the stage.
All right. Thank you very much. I will start with a question and ask, did you know that 23% of girls in Kenya get married before their 18th birthday? In comparison to these statistics, is 3% of boys. According to UNICEF, 1 year of secondary education of a girl in Kenya is associated with over 25% increase of wage. If a girl finished their secondary education, child marriages will be reduced by 50%. Hello everyone, it's great to be here, seeing all of you, and for this opportunity. My name is Nina Msanga City, a lawyer by profession, a certified professional mediator, and I work with the Capital Markets Authority of Kenya. I count myself lucky since my parents saw a need of education and they took me to school. My father is a retired teacher and my mother is a nurse. They did everything they could to facilitate education of the 6 of us up to where they could. I'm grateful for their effort, support, and prayers. Growing up, life was not easy, but I was taken to school. I managed to join college and undertook casual jobs to pay for my bachelor's degree in law. Occasionally, my parents would support my semester fees, and I was able to work hard in my small contracts here and there to save up for the next semester that will be coming up. It was hard, but looking back, I'm grateful for the opportunity to know that I can actually do it differently from the traditional belief that only men can do it. I cannot overstate how much persistence has mattered in my career. Before I got my first job, I walked into an office and gave the boss my papers, asked him to hire me in any area as I wait for an opening in my field. I was ready to volunteer in the same area. The directors were perturbed by my persistence. I would go there every week to ask if there's an opening. But eventually they gave me a casual job, and 3 months later, I was interviewed for the very job I really wanted to do and got it. Why this story? You need to be persistent and go for what you believe in. Apart from persistence, one thing I would advise my younger self is to find a mentor early on. Someone who's making a difference in an area you're passionate about. I still look up to the late Wangari Maathai. She had a zeal for conserving the environment. And if you visit Nairobi today, we have a very beautiful park that people can relax and breathe fresh air from the trees she fought to conserve. She is a Nobel Prize winner, 2004, Environment Conservation. She fought to maintain several forests that were under threat of being cleared because people wanted to build buildings, okay, of course. Young girls and women in general should borrow from the great environmentalist who fought her way up the ladder, being a woman from a rural central region of Kenya. African nations are yet to achieve the treatment accorded to girl child in the larger world due to our culture. Our culture is beautiful. Boy child is accorded education as they carry the name of the family to future generations. They are viewed as important people in the community compared to girl child, who is seen as one to maintain a homestead. It is time to move away from such mentalities. And as much as we move to preserve our cultures, we need to identify those areas that we need to remove here and there. It is time to tell the young girls in our society that they are destined for greater things, more than the bar that Professor Wangari Maathai set. There's an African proverb that says, if you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. This saying has been found to be true. However, the reality is far from being practiced in our society. Sadly, in Kenya, some girls are sacrificed by being married off in exchange of a quantified wealth that will improve the life of her family in terms of dowry, but they're young girls. Okay, we have challenges, several challenges that affect education. Educating our girl child has been difficult because they are facing various challenges. Under the introduction, we have had several challenges on which I'm going to touch on. We have poverty. We have lack of education of our elders because some of them believe our cultural mandates, which are not supportive, and we should educate our elders not to approve them, such as female genital mutilation. You'd find that a child undergoes female genital mutilation at the age of between 9 to 15 years, and after that they are ready for marriage. So early marriages challenge the access to education and actually a girl child realizing their dream. Early pregnancies, domestic labor, lack of sanitary towels is a challenge in Kenya, whereby a child will not go to school because they're in their menstrual period season and now they don't have sanitary towels. Violence in school because of various reasons, and dangerous journeys to school and back home. Boys too face some challenges such as drug abuse, lack of funding, violence at school, dangerous journeys to school and back, and domestic labor. How do we solve this problem? Now, as an African society, we need, much as we want to preserve our culture, we need to sort out these issues. How? We need to have periodic sensitization to our communities, promotion of cultural festivals. I'm enjoying this forum from yesterday. We need to promote cultural festivals and also inter-community festivals, and also promotion of education to our elders, advising them on the disadvantages of a girl child marriage and the importance of educating a girl child. Provision of sanitary towels to the deep rural schools, creation of watch committee, which can be checking if children have gone to school, and funding to schools in the remote area. I believe this problem is not only for Kenya, and it is for Africa as a whole. Most remote societies are facing these challenges that I've talked about. And I believe it is time for us to arise as Africa and check out the bad things that we have in our culture, try to remove them and maintain the good ones, or change those bad ones to affect us positively. Thank you very much. Have a blessed evening. Bye. Back to you, Mrs. Chip. Thank you.
George now is ready. Can you hear me?
George, we can hear you, but we need a little bit of lighting. We can hear you, but we need a little bit of lighting. You're in the dark.
Okay. Yeah, let me just add on light. Is it okay now?
Wow, Tate George. Why did you hide such a beautiful face? Handsome face. Why did you hide? There we go. That is our CR country representative, Aido, Kenya. Good people. Let's give a hand of applause. You are finally on. So take it off, Tate George. Take it off. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me still?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Carry on. Yes, we can. Carry on.
Okay. Okay, with all protocols observed, kings and queens, princesses and prince, chiefs, and their excellencies, welcome you to Aido, Kenya presentation. The two ladies who have just said something while I was struggling to turn on my machine are the members of Aido, Kenya, and I am very proud to say that they belong to the board of Aido, Kenya. We are 3 men and there are 3 women because we want to balance this thing totally. So, my full name is George Aleo. I am an engineer by profession and I'm also a pilot. So, I've got over 45 years of experience interacting with the public and the private sectors. So what I want to talk this time around is on culture and business, with more emphasis on the side of women. When I was growing up in the village, the men in our villages and the women there had separated their duties. They said the duties of women is to look after children, cook food, fetch water, look for firewood, bathe babies, and cook for even their husbands. And the husbands were known for only building those thatched houses and hunting where need be, and only that involved about 10% of the whole labor work. So you can imagine the 90% of the labor work belonged to women. And as such, men from that time up to today, I'm saying they have been marginalized. The transition we have now between the village and the town or cities is that women, even in the cities today, they are not given proper respect, nor are they given proper responsibilities. People always belittle them. They think women, when they are given responsibilities, they will not perform well. So in that case, Aido Kenya, with the help of Aido Network International, are trying to come up to correct that anomaly. A typical example I can give you is that way back in 1980, 90% of the kiongos are these baskets which are woven with the help of sisal. They were so popular and they were getting markets outside Kenya, America, Europe, Australia, name it. It was all done by women. And the revenue they were getting was just a peanut. Why? Because the middlemen were there to come and buy those kiondos, those baskets, sell again to the second party. The third party, when the money comes back, the women are just given peanuts, less than 1%. So that type of system deprives men of the rightful way of earning their incomes for the labor they are putting in. So our governments should actually come up to protect women in whatever they are doing. Why I'm mentioning that is that the Japanese came to Kenya and they copied the Kiondo way of making those baskets. They went back to their countries and they started producing them en masse and exporting them to America, Australia, Europe, therefore killing the Kenyan market totally. So those women were rendered jobless because there was no proper protection. So with the help of Aido International, Network International now, and Aido Kenya, or wherever Aido doers are all over the world, let's put emphasis on helping whatever businesses our ladies are trying to establish and help them in terms of sourcing for funds to improve them, like Equity Bank, like that lady who just spoke here, like lawyers, like that lady of mine who is there, so that they also protect them, so that we help. There's no point of saying culture and business when we are not saying culture among the African men is depriving women the modern way of doing things. So we should come out of the old culture and start now doing